Now, let's discuss the finer points of the trailer. What did you think?
I thought it was pretty good. I thought it looked cool. The action was strong from what I could see. The Themyscira looked great. And
It,
kind of idyllic.
I've actually got that written down right here. I mean, discussing that is interesting. Like the way Themyscira looks, the water's so blue, it's all very green, it's very bright. And then later on in the trailer, when they're going to London, it almost looks as if like the camera has a kind of grey lens over it. You know what I mean? Because everything's like pretty grey. Even like when they're um, in the boat, when they're looking at it, it's grey, and she mentions that it's like doesn't look very nice. And then when they're in the alleyway and stuff like that, it looks really grey as well. So I think that's the kind of dynamic. Like everything's really bright and stuff like that in Themyscira, and then when they're in London, it's all like dank and stuff. I like the first part of it. See, it's kind of interesting. I'm like thinking, it is the mum mugging her off because they go to the vault and they're looking at the sword, and then the mum says, "Oh, only the strongest of us, of whoever can wield it." And she's like, "That's not you," and the kid's just staring at it like proper like wanna bet. I'm trying to
Yes.
think, is that like her like mugging the kid off, or is it her like saying it knowing that you wanna know what, she's gonna put everything into, one day being the most powerful and wielding it.
Probably the second thing. Classic make the kid stronger, but I don't know, they're not strong. And maybe it has something to do with the secret she's not meant to know. Is she not meant to know that, I don't know, Zeus is her dad? Or is she not meant to know she's made out of clay? I don't know.
Yeah, that's what I'm kind of thinking there. It's interesting because when she's fighting, I mean, transition from that scene onto like her training, I think there's going to be a kind of lot of kind of special effects in the sense of like when she's fighting, because you got her like flipping over the spear that comes out of that looks sick, and then dropping and dashing the shield. I think there's going to be a lot of that. So I mean, in terms of like the action sequences, I think it's going to look very good, because I mean that's the kind of parallel you can draw with like Zack Snyder with kind of Batman versus Superman. Yeah, everything looked good, but it kind of lacked elsewhere. So I think they're definitely, giving a lot of thought to the kind of action sequences. Obviously, when you see a like with the lasso sliding, throwing the car, stuff like that. But I think like in terms of our origin story, they're kind of making her look pretty weak, because obviously they've got Antiope, or whatever her name is, however you pronounce it. She's kind of like whacking her with the sword and stuff like that, and she's like, no, "Don't let your guard down." So it's one of them things where it's like teaching her to be strong, and then obviously it's kind of fluky and stuff like that. That's why it's kind of, I think there's like always going to be a reliance on their powers, because obviously Antiope is trying to teach her like, yo, fight with your sword and stuff like that, and then she just like whacks her gauntlets together and blasts everyone. It's kind of one of them. So it's kind of like, you look at it like, yeah, she's got these kind of enhancements and stuff like that with the gauntlets, but it's like, yo, learn to fight with a sword. What if you leave your gauntlets in the bathroom or something, and you have to fight like just with a sword? It's like, so I hope they don't kind of go down that route where it's just like her gauntlets are just OP and stuff like that, and like in terms of like sword sequences and stuff like that. I
I
mean,
don't. I don't think that. That's part of her. It's got the siege. She's got the gauntlets. She got super strength. She can punch people. This is part of her thing. She's an Amazon. She'll do her stuff.
it
I don't
kind
think they're going to overdo it.
kind of think it looks like she can fly and stuff like that, because there's a moment like in the trailer where she's like, and then she flies like
Yeah,
up towards.
modern day Wonder Woman does fly. I don't think they're going to do the old invisible jet.
I think it's going to be more of like, like a feat of strength, where, because like obviously you saw her in Batman versus Superman, where she launches at Doomsday. I think it's really not.
You think it's going to be like old school Superman, like leap at building a single
Yeah,
bound
I
kind of
think
it.
it's kind of like a feat of strength, in the sense she's like, she can propel herself up, or she can propel herself in a direction and stuff
Yeah,
like that.
because I suppose there would be a question if she could fly. Like, why would she have never left Themyscira before?
Yeah, exactly. So obviously it had the Steve Trevor stuff, the kind of crashing the plane and stuff like that and pulling him out.
Yeah.
Then it kind of on the beach and stuff like that, if you've seen in other trailers, it kind of looks like you've got the Amazonians like fighting against like a load of like British people, whether they've been sent to get Steve Trevor and like they've kind of invaded the island and they've kind of been mullered, or whether it's like a flashback or something. But I think Steve Trevor's there because he saves her. So whether like some of them have been sent to kind of get him, or like it kind of depends how his plane's crashed. You know what I mean?
Steve Trevor, I mean, Chris Pine looked good in the role. He looked, from what we can tell from the trailer. I'm still slightly confused about why he'd do it.
Why? Because you think it's just going to be a one shot?
Yeah.
Because there was maybe just wanted to do a one shot. You know, I mean, there's nothing wrong with that. I mean, because there were going to be talks that he was like that, and then like in the future, like Dawn of Justice and Justice League, that he's also going to play like a descendant. But then I think he rubbished those claims.
Yeah, that's lame. That's a trope they do all the time. I mean, even that's a bit too close to. Even though they got different actresses, that's a bit too close to the Captain America thing, isn't it?
Yeah, I think it's kind of interesting as well. Like they mention, like, a sacred duty to like kind of protect the world, and it's just like whether that's like a discussion to do with Ares, because it's like for all intents and purposes, it's like they never leave the island. You know what I mean? It's like protecting the world how.
Yeah, and I mean, and she talks about having a sacred duty to protect the world, and obviously we know she wasn't doing that for a long time before Dawn of Justice. So the idea, what exactly happens here, who knows? Probably, I mean, if I had to guess, I'd probably guess it would be the death of Steve Trevor,
or like a corruption. You got Ares in it, and Ares is Sir Patrick Morgan / Ares. So obviously this guy's in a position of power, and it turns out it was Ares. Not a look at him though. I mean, kind of the DC kind of thing is that generally by the third trailer, DC blows its load and shows like the villain. Obviously they did it with Doomsday, but not even a look at Ares yet. Not even a look at like David Thewlis, like in any role. So
they got a lot of flack for doing that with Doomsday. Now, admittedly, that was different though, because no one really knew that Doomsday was in the movie, so it was spoiling a big reveal.
There was a lot of speculation. I mean, it's interesting because you got Ares, whether they're going to be like kind of. You got Dr. Poison and Eric Ludendorff, or whatever,
confidence.
Who's obviously the girl with the kind of mask, and I mean the kind of plot thing that they've kind of developed this poison, like obviously to kind of win the war, and then they've got to kind of stop that. Obviously you got the Nazi guy, Danny Houston. That I'd kind of look at them like. I'd look at him definitely as someone who's probably quite close with Ares, but it's interesting because obviously he strikes me as a Nazi, and then I mean Sir Patrick Morgan kind of strikes me as a high society kind of English guy, so how they cross paths I don't know, but I mean you got to look at it as though Ares is going to play both sides.
It's not Nazis, right? It's World War One.
Yeah, well, Germans and German, whatever. I apologise. So yeah, I mean, obviously, at the from what I can imagine, that there's going to be quite a lot of action in it. Obviously, you got a fight on the beach, then you've got a fight in a what looks to be a factory where she's sliding and slamming with her sword. Then there's a fight out on the streets where she's dashing the car and lassoing everyone, and then
I think it's definitely going to be heavy on the action because
a lot of explosions.
With no disrespect to Gal Gadot, but she doesn't seem like the world's greatest actress. Even the line delivery she gave in here, I'm the daughter of Hippolyta, blah blah blah. It wasn't to me that strong. Maybe it played better in the movie. I want to give her a chance, but one thing she can do based off Batman v Superman is look badass when she's fighting. So I think they're definitely going to be heavy on that.
Yeah, I think she can come over as like kind of, because I mean, there's going to be a naivety to her when she gets to London, and like she's like this warrior, she's known all this stuff, and then she's kind of like, because like at the end of the trailer where she's like walking to like the revolving door and she like draws a sword and stuff like that, and she's like thing. So I think
I want to get to that, but
I think there's going to be a lot of kind of humour done from that. But I think like from the other trailers, like Lucy Davis, there's going to be a lot of her kind of delivering the lines, but it's like whether that'll wear thin and stuff like that.
it will. But first of all, on Godot, in fairness to her, or Godot, she might improve. I don't want to be too. The reference point for me, anyway, is always Channing Tatum. I thought he was terrible for a very long time, and then suddenly, out of nowhere, he became a damn good actor. Maybe she can do the same thing. But the comedy, for me, at least in this trailer, didn't work. It felt forced. It felt like they got through the entire pretty serious and good trailer, and then right at the end, look, let's tell everyone we got some yucks in the movie, and let's force this in it. It didn't work.
Yeah, I mean, through the trailer, she did obviously with like the bits at the start. There was it was very transitional. You had her as a young girl, her training, then her like going to this new place and her fighting people, and then like obviously at the end you can imagine that's going to be the altercation with Ares, where she's like things are blowing up, she's up in the air and she crosses the gauntlets and there's like electricity coming at her. Is very transitional, so I think I'll agree with that as well. She comes off like, uncertain, then like really powerful, fierce, taking everyone on, and I think that was just thrown in to be like, oh yeah, it is funny as well, but I kind of like the transition of it from weak to strong, as it were. I really like that.
Yeah, it just felt like a bit of a reaction. DC again have got a lot of flack for being too dark and too serious, so they've done a serious trailer and then they've just thrown in the comedy at the end. The comedy might work in the movie, who knows, but on the trailer, yeah.
Yeah, I like the idea of the trailer. I mean, I thought that bit was okay, but if they cut that out, the kind of evolutionary thing, I thought that worked really. I thought it was a solid trailer. So yeah,
I'll buy 95% of the trailer.
Yeah, up to that bit, so I think it's going to be a good movie. So comment what you think in the description, or not the description, in the comment section. I'm Sam.
I'm Matt.
And this has been our reaction to the official origin trailer of Wonder Woman. See you in the next episode.